Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bouk and Zoobie show on the world famous LIR.com, 927LIR.com, and YouTube. I am John Kalaboukas, the Bouk, with my friend Paul Zubulake, Zuby. So, we have so many things that are happening in the NBA and Major League Baseball. Since the last time we spoke with our good friend Gamal Smith, I will have to give kudos to my partner here because from the NBA draft, you had the first five picks
That,
correct.
there you go, John. Thank you. That was our last show, the NBA preview. So thanks again to Gamal for joining. Hope everybody enjoyed the content. And yeah, we haven't spoken in a while, John. So as we've told everybody before, during the non-football season, we're going to be on less, and we're actually even taping this on a Wednesday, and we'll be posting it hopefully tomorrow, that which would be July 10th.
Yeah.
So yeah, the draft was definitely it was enjoyable, and I guess you're right. I was lucky enough to stumble into the top five, but not that is that great of a prediction. So I'll take minor kudos for that. But yeah, the NBA Summer League started with a bang. And of course, there's been 8 million trades, free agent signings.
Unbelievable.
So I'm going to rely on you to update everybody. But the first subject, John, of course, and this is how we actually opened our not actually the show before last, was the firing of Tom Thibodeau, which has led to the hiring, and this hiring is as boring as the guy's name is, John. New coach of the New York Knicks, Mike Brown. What's your thoughts?
And he and the funny thing is they hired him for the same exact salary as Tom Thibodeau, but they gave him 4 years, $40 million. 4 years, Mike Brown. Um, Listen, we know Mike Brown. Uh, is he a good coach? He's a good coach. Is he going to be the person to put us over? I can't answer that. It all has to do with your players. Basically it comes down to your players. If you don't have good, a strong enough bench, if you're not utilizing your players the right way, I don't care who's the coach. Are they good enough to be in the finals? They should have been in the finals this year. Will Mike Brown change the way the Knicks play? Yeah, he's going to be run and gun. That's what he's known for. It's going to be very fast up and down the court. How they're going to adjust on defense is another thing. I mean, usually when you're running and gunning, you're not going to have much of a chance. I mean, it's just going to be high scoring games and really not that much defense. I'm going to be very curious to see how he handles this team. One of the first moves they made is they demoted Rick Brunson down. So he's not really going to be a big piece of that coaching staff at all. They really demoted him. And from the reports I read, that Brown really didn't want him to have any part of coaching the team, but they gave him a very small role now. So listen, he was saying the right things during the press conference. It was a pretty boring press conference. It's the same
The,
old thing. I'm going to change things. I
the
have my
culture of right, building a culture of winning. I mean, talk about the same old crap. I mean, when are you talking about building a cult? The team went to the finals of the East. The Knicks current roster doesn't have a cultural issue,
right.
with its the attitude of the players. I mean, it's not nothing to do with them not being winners. They are winners. I mean, they may have won on the college level, but they're good enough to win at the pro level. John, this whole situation is player driven, as we discussed. Towns and Bridges didn't like Thibodeau, and now they'll get somebody that they won't like because Mike Brown, if really what his last stop at Sacramento, in which I actually paid attention because one of my favorite players, my guy Davion Mitchell, was their first round pick when he ended up taking the job the second year for Mitchell, and he
Hmm.
buried the kid. And they end up trading him, and now good for him. He re-signed with the Heat. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I
So
saw it.
I'm very skeptical of this guy. He got fired at Sacramento mid-season last year. They went nowhere. He took the team was actually at a higher point, and he actually left on the lower point. Um, he had some success, right, with Golden State, right, with Cleveland, right, and he's won the Coach of the Year twice, so he must be media savvy, so that helps him. He's a very well-spoken guy. He's a smart guy. But this is just one of those things, John, where the fan base is going to go berserk if this team does not basically win it all, but of course, at least get to the finals next year. And that's just like a ridiculous expectations. And I guess obviously they're getting a break, right, with the injuries in the East. But I don't want to overhype that because there's still other teams in the East
Oh
that
no,
are
there's some excellent teams. Are you
right. And those
kidding?
teams that even lost, Boston losing Tatum and Indiana losing Halliburton,
Albert.
they still have pretty good rosters. So if you can keep track, right, John? So that's my thought on Mike Brown. Like I said, it's as boring as his name. I wish him luck. I don't begrudge the guy, but
Right.
it's just management trying to sell this to a fan base, and it's just going to be all results. So as a fan, you're going to sit there and say, "All right, take us to the finals, coach," and good luck. So let's go through the new Nick roster because they did make a couple of interesting moves in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I liked that they re-signed Huck Porty, who's, for those fans that don't know who Huck Porty is he actually was the reason why Jericho Sims ended up getting traded because he's a big guy, defensive, great rebounder. He ended up hurting himself, but they re-signed him for 1.9 million. Again, that's a nice re-signing. But they ended up getting, and I thought that it was a very savvy signing, is Jordan Clarkson, and they signed him for $3.6 million for 1 year. And I'm saying, is that all he's really worth? He's a pretty good player, this guy. I
Yeah,
mean, what do you think?
well, he's up there. He's up. I think he's 33 now. He's been in a lot of teams. He can score though. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely an upgrade. But I thought you were gonna okay. You headed into a different direction. I thought you were gonna head to another kudos for me because if you remember, after the Olympics, I told you about a certain guy that I was really impressed with the French team, and I was stunned that he wasn't on an NBA team. And here we are 2 years later after playing with the Sixers, right, last year. And I
Yeah,
honestly
yeah,
didn't follow it because the Sixers were just terrible and they were out of it early. But Yebusele, that's his last name. I
yeah.
can't remember what his first name is.
Gershon,
What
Gershon,
was that? Oh,
Gershon.
okay. Oh, okay, Hershon, right? So I thought that signing, I can't wait to see him with the Knicks
Yeah,
because he just impresses me. He impressed me. But again, like I said, I hardly watched him last year.
he basically replaced Embiid, and he was averaging about 15 points a game. I mean, he's a great defensive guy. Again, cheap, 2 years, 12 million.
Right?
These are I mean, cheap. I mean, $6 million a year is still a lot of money, but still for NBA,
No, for
two
NBA,
years,
John.
12 million. That's fantastic. I
Yeah,
thought they
of
were
course.
great
Yeah.
additions.
So those are the main ones, and like you said, bringing back the depth there, young player at a low number, that was a no-brainer. But ultimately, the Knicks are going to go as far as Brunson and Towns and Bridges, right? It can take them. Obviously, OG and Hart, right? It's the core is the
Yeah.
same, and there's still issues, right? How are they going to defend, as you always like to talk about? How are they going to deal with having guys who are more offensive minded than defensive minded?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be an interesting year. I would not uh, put them as a favorite, but I guess it's almost they're going to be one of the favorites, right? So,
I mean,
um,
Cleveland
yeah, and Cleveland, I guess, was
and
the other
the
one.
Magic
So
and the Magic.
The Magic made some
I mean, the
moves,
Magic have done some really great moves and re-signing their talent. I mean, the Wagners. If you have both of them healthy, those two. I mean, they have a very, very good team, the Magic. I mean, they were good this year. Imagine now that they have Bain over there. I mean, they're going to be solid. They're going to
and
be a
then
solid team.
they signed Bancaro to a
Yeah.
monster deal. And the other, speaking of monster deals, the nothing like winning the NBA championship to increase your bank account. Absurd money for SGA, and Chet Holmgren got a
Oh, please.
huge deal, 50 million. I mean,
Five
he,
years,
yeah,
250 million for Chet Holmgren.
showed. I mean, he does have a unique ability, but he did show
Yeah,
that he can get pushed around too, and that's always been his issue. And I mean, he's
50
got
million
room to
a
grow.
year.
Right? No, I agree. It's
I
insane.
mean,
It's insane.
Bencaro is worth it. Bencaro is 5 years, 287 million. He's 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 worth it. But oh my God, I mean, when I saw Holmgren's contract, I was like, 50 million a year for Holmgren? No, no way,
So
no way.
those are the big ones, and I guess the talk of LeBron James trying to broker a trade maybe back to the Cavs. Do you think that's just made up stuff? I think it is.
I
What do you
think it's
think?
all made up.
Okay.
It's all made up. And speaking of Alexander's contract, he got 4 years, 285 million, and he's going to be with that team for the next 6 years because he's finishing out a contract. I think it's 2 years, close to 80 million. He still has 2 years left, so that's a 4-year extension on top of that.
Right.
I mean, wow.
Well, hey, he's the
I mean,
MVP. He
yeah,
deserves to get paid. He's the MVP. They won the championship.
but the NBA, how are they going to be able to survive as a league with these salaries? These salaries are insane. $70 million a year for Alexander. I mean, like I said, he's a great player, but what is it, $71 million a year when this contract kicks in. Just crazy stuff. Crazy. I
Well,
mean,
they're showing they're
another
making money, John. They're making a lot of
they're
money.
making a lot of money, but when you look at I'm going to read off some of these signings pretty quickly, but and some of them stick out. And like Julius Randle re-signed with the Timberwolves. Everyone was so afraid that he was going to break the bank with the Knicks. He only signed for 3 years, $100 million, $33 million a year. So I mean that again, I'm not going to say it's cheap, but it's still for him that's pretty good. Harden, 2 years, $81 million, still
Who
hanging
pay,
around in this
who
league.
paid him? Who paid him? Is a new team or the same?
No,
Where is Harden with the
he,
Clippers?
he
Where
went
is
he
he?
went back to Clippers.
The Clippers.
Yeah.
Why do they? How do these owners pay for a guy like that? It's just it's mind-boggling.
Well, I'll give you one even worse than that. You ready for this one?
I'm sure
You,
there are
you
worse.
know Dennis Schroeder. He was with the Pistons this year. The Kings, your team there, Sacramento Kings,
Not anymore. Yes.
gave him 3 years, $45 million, $15 million a year for Schroeder, or Luke Cornett, 4 years, $41 million by the Spurs. I mean, all these guys are like backup players. What about Jaren Jackson, Memphis?
What do you got?
5 years, $240 million. I mean, these are insane numbers. How are they going to afford this? I think the best value was the Bucks signing Turner from the Pacers. 4 years, $107 million. They got a bargain. with Turner. He's
Yeah,
he's a
that
good
kid.
center. That's
Well,
a
he,
that's a
you know,
bargain.
he's a center who likes to shoot threes, but I mean, who knows how it's going to play out? All right, you got more. Keep going. I'm sure. I think there are more, right?
Oh, as far as contract signings, I
Or is
mean,
that it? How about trades?
Karis LeVert went 2 years, $29 million to the Pistons, which I thought, again, that's another team you got to watch out for, the Pistons.
Sure,
I
definitely.
mean, you saw how they played the Knicks very tough
Absolutely.
in the
Absolutely.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, I have to give Brad Stevens of the Celtics massive credit because he was able to get rid of Porzingis' contract and Holiday's contract. He traded both of them. So Porzingis went to the Hawks, and I don't know what the Hawks are thinking about here. But he went to the Hawks, and the Celtics ended up getting a second round pick. It was clearly a salary dump.
Sure, sure.
And then Holiday went to the Trailblazers for Anthony Simons and 2 second rounders. Again, both salary dumps, but that Holiday trade wasn't so bad for the Celtics either. Not bad. Um, Lonzo Ball. So,
Yeah. He,
Aman Gamal
he talked
says
about it.
the Knicks should go after Lonzo Ball. Well, the Cavaliers ended up getting Lonzo Ball for a
Nothing,
Coro. Yeah,
right?
for a Coro.
Oh,
But
for a
basically,
Cora, right? A guy
yeah,
that they didn't need because they have
they
guys who were
no,
similar. So it was a good probably trade for both teams.
yeah,
Yeah. So yep, yep. And the Knicks, yeah, like we said, had some more. I mean, I think Clarkson and Yabusele are going to come off the bench, right? No question. But
yeah, 100%,
so
100%. And
that's definitely helps an area that where the
same
Knicks
thing
need
with
help.
yeah. I mean, you have Huck Porty off of the bench. You're gonna have McBride, Kolick, and then you have some other rookies there that maybe McCullough comes. I don't know if he makes the team. I mean, they have some decent players. I mean, they picked this. I don't know anything about this guy that they picked. Diawara.
Oh yeah, he's French. He's French. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they didn't. He's a stash. He's going to be stashed.
he's
So
gonna
yeah,
be
there was
stuck.
a lot of French ball players got picked. A lot of them
Yeah.
on day two. But you haven't mentioned one team in the East, and again, as I always
Uh,
bring my Baylor Bears into the equation. That's Philadelphia
oh,
76ers with McLean hopefully coming back with their, yeah, again, one summer league game, and then he sat out the last couple with a bad thumb. DJ Edgecombe, my man, had some highlight reel plays. Again, showing his suspect 3-pointer. That was my scouting report on him, John. He
yeah,
basically fitted
yeah.
perfectly in his first game. I think he was 1 for 7 from three, but ended up with 28 points, 10 rebounds, 4 steals, a couple of blocks. So that's what type of player he can be. I mean, summer league, let's face it. It's you can't get too crazy. Yeah, the Sixers, I think, will have they'll be back in action. Yes, the
Yeah,
East is wide open. I'm sure the Thunder will still be, pretty much probably the favorite
yeah,
in the
yeah,
West, right? Still, but
yeah,
it's always back to backs tough. So yeah, that's good. That's a good roundup of the league in the NBA. Unless you had yet some more stuff.
well, I mean, there was some other things.
Yeah, go. What do you got?
So DeAndre Ayton, probably the laziest center in the NBA, was released, but the Lakers ended up signing him for 2 years, $34 million. A guy that I don't know. He just seems to not work well with any team. I mean, it's amazing that this guy is still in this league. He gets injured so often. They say he's really bad for team morale. He doesn't show up to practice on time or doesn't show up at all. And yet the Lakers are taking a shot on. And they were saying that even the Knicks were looking at him. And I'm like, I don't want that guy nowhere
Right.
near my.
Yeah, no,
Um,
with the Lakers, they just think that with LeBron's impact that he can get guys to comply. He's got talent, John. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I
No, he
mean, but
has
yeah,
talent.
yeah,
If he ever shows it that he
He's got to
wants to play.
motivate it. He's got to get
Uh,
motivated. I mean, he's put some numbers up. Anyway,
um,
yes,
but anyway, something came up in the NBA, and of course, you and I had been talking about this ad nauseum about gambling and the effect of gambling on basketball, baseball, football. There's always going to be that cloud over every single team sport. So Malik Beasley
yeah, I did hear
was
that.
ready to sign a 3-year, $42 million contract with the Pistons. And he's a very good player. I mean, he showed it
Sure.
in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Is now being investigated for gambling. And when we say gambling, of throwing games, which is pretty serious. And they have some specific games. One of them happened to be the Knicks playoff game when he, at the end of the game, he somehow fumbled the ball and the Pistons ended up losing. I
sure.
actually,
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So um,
But I don't
this
think that impacted the point spread. I thought it was more related to prop bets or something. Are you
that too.
sure
Well,
about?
that right, that too,
I
that
mean,
too.
you got to like point shaving is like I mean, not that there's any good scenarios in this when you're talking about prop betting on your own performance. I mean, point shaving. I mean, he's gonna. I don't know. It's interesting. That story is not getting a lot of like it's not getting talked about, right?
Yeah, we're just like you know, no one's talking about what happened with Pete Rose, and now all of a sudden he's dead, and they're they decided to allow him to be somehow considered for admission into Hall of Fame. Shoeless Joe Jackson. No one's talking about Otani's thing. I mean, I actually I'll talk about it in base when we talk about baseball. The conversations I had with some fans around us at the Met game. But I wanted to point out about one other player that you pointed out during the draft. I knew nothing about him. Was Derek Queen.
Okay.
So the Pelicans traded up for Queen, and they ended up. I mean, they gave up a boatload. Everyone was saying that just to move up 10 spots to get him, they gave up a 2026 first round pick, and this was to the Hawks, and the Hawks ended up getting the kid Newell and a 2026 first round pick for the rights for them to draft Derek Queen. What
Yeah.
did you think about that trade?
I think, I mean, I think Queen has a chance to be a really top player. It's just like I had mentioned in the draft show, it's just a little bit in between the ears and the maturity. That's what you're kind of worried about with him. So I wouldn't. I mean, draft picks in the NBA, right? They just go. It's crazy. Multiple twos,
Well,
multiple
so
ones.
many.
I mean, the Nets had 5 picks. I guess we should mention them, and then somehow turned the 5 picks into 5 picks. You would think they would package and move up, and they took the kid from BYU. I mean, he played in the Big 12 for 1 year, so I saw him play a few times. I mean, he's definitely, because again, he's a Euro and he's a 6'8" point guard. He cannot shoot though. I'm a little worried about his physicality. So he's more of a pro. I think he could be a good player, but more of a project. So I was kind of surprised that he went that high. And then their other picks were again more run in the mill guys. I mean, late in the first round, like they were all stacked at the late in the first round, and it's very hard to keep track of the draft because there's so many trades, and you really
Well,
have to study it. But we'll see. I mean, there's always diamonds in the rough, and I guess we have to mention we didn't even talk about it, right? The another thing we talked about. RJ Lewis just getting absolutely terrible advice
yeah.
and should have stayed in school, Johnny. He signed a two-way deal with the Utah Jazz. I mean, it's a good team to go to. They definitely need players. But just kind of the way it all ended at the St. John's last game, and I just I really do feel terrible for the guy because
Well,
he
he's
got
only going to get
terrible
paid.
advice. He got terrible advice.
Terrible advice. He would have been a number one pick if he would have stayed in school. in the first.
Yes.
He would have been a first
Uh,
round pick,
I would think
and
so. Yes.
and to get paid $586,000 as opposed to if he would have stayed in college, probably maybe 2 million, million and a
I
half.
I agree, definitely. In that area, 1 to 2 million, easy. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He would have.
But there were
Anyway,
a lot
just
of there were a lot of surprises to me about who didn't get drafted.
that's
Uh,
only 2 runs. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and some really good players. And listen, that's the chance you take. That's the chance you take. And I felt bad for him too. I was like, when you didn't see his name, I'm like, wow,
Yeah. Anyway,
big
well, we
mistake.
definitely hopefully some other young stars will start watching the Bouk and Zoobie show on a regular basis on youtube.com. If you are one of our Spotify.com listeners and you want to check out the show on YouTube, you got to search Bouk, Bouk, and Zuby, Zoobie. We really appreciate those platforms. We want people to subscribe, like the episodes, comment if you want, and of course, John, who I occasionally forget. I can't believe I forgot him last time. The world famous LIR.com, 927 LIR.com, internet radio spinning the tunes from the 1980s, which, by the way, I think the 1980s and 70s is they're trying to make like, let's get the 2025s and 30s, right, to be the new 70s and 80s. That's kind of a pipe dream, but either way, we always thank them for hosting us on their platform. And yeah, like I said, folks, I mean, we are a word of mouth show. So if you like the show, tell some friends, tell them to subscribe, like the episodes, because it drives the YouTube algorithm.
And speaking of going back to the 80s, so St. John's, since we're on the subject of basketball,
Yes.
St. John's sent out an email
Uh-oh.
to everyone yesterday with their time slots and dates that they can buy season tickets. And it's based on a point system. I think we've spoken about
Yes.
this.
In the past, yes.
So my date to purchase tickets is August 12th, somewhere in the middle of the day. So I have to remember this. I actually wrote it down on my calendar. And they mentioned that because they want to be competitive with major programs, most of the games will be at Madison Square Garden this year.
Yes. Yes.
It's they mention anywhere from 10 to 13 games. They say they may have one or two exhibitions at a Carneseca, lower level preseason teams, uh, and ticket prices will be going up by 30%. So they threw that in there.
Well,
So
they did go out and really load their roster, right? I mean, it's too early to get into talking about
it's
the
early.
roster, but they did bring a lot of players in and a couple of returners, or not many, right?
Not many.
So it's going to be pretty much a brand new team. And of course, for another year, as Zuby always loves to root for, Zuby Etchafor.
That's right. And was smart enough to stay in school.
Oh, yes, yes.
Smart enough because
No doubt. He
this
knew.
year, if he has the same type of year like last year, he's going to be a first round pick. He's not going to be a second rounder.
Well,
He played it smart because he could have come out,
he
but he
could have
says,
tried. He probably wouldn't have gotten drafted. So
yeah, yeah,
that's the thing. The key. You're improving your game. And because you're playing all the time in college, you're improving your game. Even if
right,
RJ Lewis makes the Jazz, he could be not dressing or he's like the 12th man. He's never going to get better. It's harder to get better. And in the NBA, John, they don't practice. They really don't, especially in the regular season. Forget
yeah,
it. So it's
yeah,
all in the pre-camp stuff where you got to kind of make your mark. and otherwise you're not playing. Instead, in college, you're refining your game. I mean, it's just yeah, it's just now with the money they're making, it's such a different decision. So I know we keep talking about this tonight, but it's such a big thing, and it's been going on in the NBA forever, where these guys who come out way too early, and then that's it. You never hear about them again. They're in Europe somewhere if they're lucky, or they're stuck in the G League for a while. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
tough league to make, right? And it's an international game because you could see in the draft itself, you're competing in the world, and
that's
there's a
correct.
lot of good players internationally. There's a few Aussies, right, who got taken. So
Yeah,
not just the French. There was a lot. I mean, I didn't count up the internationals, but there were a lot of them. Maybe
yeah,
not as high as obviously last year's draft, where a bunch of them were picked up in the top five. But anyway, tons of talent going into the league. We'll be talking about it throughout. Let's talk the other winter sport, John. I got to just talk about it because the funniest thing has happened, and I don't know how the NHL does this. And Gary Bettman, that's why the owners love him, John. He makes deals, and the NHL and the players extended their collective bargaining agreement right out to like 2030 or 31. I'm not sure.
yeah.
And incredibly, John, with people like us begging for a shorter season, the NHL will add, not this year. I think it's the year after, two more games to make it 84 regular season hockey games. So this dream that every fan has: shorter baseball season, shorter hockey, shorter NBA season, John. It's just never gonna happen, and it's really a crying shame. I don't get it. And another, speaking of quickly, I want to mention is college basketball again considering expanding the
Yeah.
field of 68. A terrible, terrible idea to add eight more teams, and they listed the teams that were going to make it. And I mean, it was just like, a bunch of kind of average teams from big conferences. And I was just like, there's no need. But John, it just, you can't stop it. They won't, right? The sports won't listen. They just want to expand, expand, more teams, more games. And I don't know how much the fans can take, right? How much can they take?
Well, and really, if you want to alleviate these lopsided games, and we've spoken about this, is just, these mediocre. I know that we have to give everyone a chance, and there might be a Cinderella team. Most of the time, they get blown out by 50 points. Is these conferences that really shouldn't even be Division One, to be honest.
Well,
They
that's the
shouldn't.
question, right? Right.
Yeah, they shouldn't be Division One. Then they're not any good. And every year we see these, teams getting crushed. How about putting the best teams, not who finish first in this, you know, little league team from the South or the Southwest somewhere we never heard of.
Well, John, that's why they're expanding, because the big conferences want more teams and they're gonna get more teams. So anyway, I just had to mention that. I had to mention the hockey season being extended. The Rangers have made some moves, right?
Yep.
Keandre Miller got traded. They're bringing in some interesting younger talent. We'll definitely get into that more. During the preseason of the hockey, just like are with the NBA. And the Islanders got the number one pick in the draft, so they're all excited. They signed one of their veterans to a long-term deal as well. And I guess I don't think have we mentioned that Chris Kreider got traded. We might have mentioned it. I
No,
can't
we
remember
didn't.
the time. We did
No, we
not
didn't.
mention that.
No, we
So
did not.
long-time Ranger, one of my favorites, a lot of people's favorites. But like all sports, and the Rangers are famous for this. People forget Brian Leach did not play his last game as a New York Ranger. I mean, things like this is not that unusual, where the Rangers do trade their longtime players. off at the end. It's kind of sad because you'd like to see them retire, going out to Anaheim. So good luck to Chris. We'll miss him. Great Ranger. Didn't talk
Yeah.
a lot. Definitely a guy that I don't think many fans knew much about. Right? He did never like to talk about himself. So that's kind of a that's what happens, right? Guys move on.
It's business.
It's business, and they had to clear cap space. They brought in Garakov from the Kings. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched much Kings hockey in the last few years. So he is a solid left-handed defenseman that they're going to team up with Adam Fox. So that is obviously the big move that they've made. So we'll see how it plays out. He's actually good friends with Igor, and that's they kind of gave him the Rangers a little bit of a discount to bring him in. They brought some other young guys in some of the trades they made. This kid Morrow, people are high on. So it's just again, it's way too early to talk about it. I think, as always, we always have to mention the NFL, but I mean, you can't get deader than dead. But we should mention, because today is what, the 9th of July, the Jets, and I'm sure the Giants are right around the same time, will be reporting to training camp, John. July 22nd, I think the Jets technically are reporting. The first practice open to the fans is on the 25th. So I'm sorry, I don't know the Giants' schedule. They might not even have announced it yet. So, because we're doing our every other week now, the next time we talk, John, we might have a little NFL discussion. How do you like that?
Listen, the season's a month and a half away. Month and a half.
Cannot. I mean, I hate to say it. I can't, I can't get enough of it, right? NFL, college football, it's my favorite, always will be. But so we won't talk about the NFL. We won't talk about Aaron Rodgers. We mentioned him briefly as he's on the enemy list now. But actually, John, this is actually a quick story I want to tell, and then we'll get to our last portion of the show. I've been getting, again, being an old time Jet season ticket holder, the ticket office likes to send me emails every year. Jenna, I won't mention her last name. She sent me, John, over a 3 week period, I want to say, 5 emails about wanting to set up time to talk about mini plans. So, where you can
Int-
now buy four
Wow.
games instead of eight. And a lot of fans like that idea. Now, that's obviously with their PSL garbage that they sold the poor fan base. Of course, you don't need a PSL for this. So, John, I kept on getting these emails. She sends me another one and it says, "This is the last time I'm reaching out. I don't even know if I have the right email." John, guess what? I responded
I knew you were going to.
and I said to her, I said, "You are very persistent and the Jets are lucky to have you. And even though I went for over 30 years to games, I cannot get a season, even a half. But if I can get a couple of single games, I maybe purchase a couple." And I haven't heard back, John. So now Jenna
Eh,
could be on a 4th of July extended vacation, or it was automated emails the whole time. So I just thought that was definitely hysterical how you reach out to somebody so many times and they actually responded, and I did not get a response back. So I will keep the fans updated on the interactions with the Jet ticket office.
well, you waited a long time, unlike me, where I would answer them right away. I'm not interested. I mean, today, guys banging on my door today, and you know how they say, "Oh yeah, I'm doing things for your neighbor." I said, "Who's my neighbor?" "Oh, well, he's down the block." I said, "What's his name?" And I said, and I just cut him short. I said, "What service are you trying to sell me?" "Well, I do bugs. I get rid of bugs." I said, "I don't have bugs. I just shut the door. I did a Fred Sanford. I just closed the door on him." So I don't have patience for that. You're amazing. You take all those emails. I answer them right away just to get them off my back.
John, I just find it funny to see how many times they're actually going to contact you. But I think it's even more funny. So now I'm waiting. And John, if I get a game, you're coming with me. We could watch a little Justin Fields lead us to the promised land.
I'd
Anyway,
go. I'd go to a game.
oh
I'd go.
yeah, you'll go. You'll be there.
I haven't
You'll be
been
there
since
because you'll
Rich.
be forcing me to go to hopefully, some playoff baseball in Queens and in the Bronx. But things have been a little rough lately, a little bit of a roller coaster. So I cannot wait for baseball with Book.
Yeah, I mean,
Where do
you
we
asked
start?
me. You asked me about my worry meter two
Yes,
weeks ago, and I put it at a 7.
good
And
call.
or yeah, they look terrible there with their pitching. And I think when you get swept by the Rays, all right, they're a decent team. When you get swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates, your pitching is in big, big trouble.
Right,
The
an
fact that
ugly sweep. Right, it was
oh,
very ugly.
it was awful. Yeah, it wasn't even competitive. And when they were in Atlanta, they looked terrible as well. They got swept in Atlanta too. So um, it was. I think it was very good timing when the Yankees came in because they really stink. I mean, the fact that uh, the Mets won 2 out of 3 with basically minor league pitching
On
two
the
out of
third
the
game.
3 games. The one I went to with Lieutenant Dan, and I told him before the game, I said, Dan, I said, the Yankees are going to finally win a game against the Mets.
Yeah, the third
And he
game.
goes, what makes you so sure? I said, well, you got Fried going today.
Right.
I said he'll probably pitch. He'll probably give up 2 to 3 runs to the Mets. I said, but the Mets are going to have all minor league pitchers today. There's not going to be one major league pitcher that's going to be able to come into the game. They're really, really short. And uh, for a while there, I mean, the Mets were losing 5-0. And the funny thing is, all those guys were sent down after the game. Actually, some of them were released after the game. It's amazing how many pitch they're up to 34 pitchers now.
All right, so
34.
I have to jump into baseball with Book because this is a very important subject. So does that number include the position players? Because we've always not included them. Is that including the position guys or not?
No, no,
No, not including the position guys. All right, that's very important. Because
yes.
John, the Bouk and Zoobie show, we talked about this last season. How the Mets, I don't know, we picked up on it, saw the numbers. I think I saw something online, and I was like, John, do you realize how many pitchers the Mets have had this year? Non-stop talking about it, not just on the local with the Mets, I saw on the national game talking about how many pitchers the Mets have used, and they're not alone. They're not alone. So again, I know we're patting ourselves on the back a little bit, folks,
Yep.
but this is something that I think our show adds, right? That we talk about things way in advance in certain circumstances, and this is an example, John, because
Yep.
they were talking about it, right? How much were they talking about this? And I was just laughing because I'm like, man, we were all over this last season, and it's absolutely insane. By the not even by the All Star break, the Mets are at 34. It's incredible.
You know who's worse than them? Are the
The,
Dodgers.
yeah, the Dodgers are
Dodgers
even worse. What is it?
36, 36. The Dodgers. It's just incredible. And
Anyway, all
you
right,
know what's
continue.
and they've had a really bad run here with injuries. Today they learned that McGill is going to be out until mid-August now with that elbow injury.
Oh boy,
Okay,
yeah,
Canning is out with what
he's out.
else? An Achilles
Yeah, it's tough.
injury, which was a freak injury. Then you have Nunez, who was throwing smoke and
Yep.
looking great. He's going to probably be going for Tommy John surgery.
Again,
Then you have
right? It's the
Huh?
second time. Isn't that his second
Fine.
one?
Yeah, it's a
That's
shame.
that's
He
usually
looks
the end.
so good, this kid. He looks so good. I mean, he would have been a great setup guy for Diaz. That's what they were working him up to. Blackburn, who really should not be a starting pitcher at all, is out. So it's, the good thing is we're going to get Manaya and Senga back this weekend. They're both going to pitch against the Royals, so that's some relief.
That's huge. Yeah.
Montas, Frankie Montas hasn't actually looked that bad.
No,
He's
he's pitched
actually
well.
he's actually been pretty good. Let's hope he doesn't get injured. So, I mean, it's not a bad staff if you get everyone healthy. I'm just worried about Manaya. I don't know. I don't want to place the hex on him, but for some reason, I don't know. If you're telling me you have something loose bits in your elbow or your arm or whatever,
Yeah.
and you didn't need surgery for it, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I mean, the fact that we get him for half a year may be to our advantage because then he won't be tired in the playoffs. But will he be able to last is what I'm concerned about. I'm really concerned. I don't like hearing about loose cartilage or loose bits of things in the arm. And they said, oh, yeah, well, we gave it a cortisone shot and he was feeling better for a couple of days. I'm
Yeah,
like,
well, that's what it does, right? It makes you feel better for a couple of days, but doesn't cure
uh,
anything. No, I agree with you on that. Good call. I think you're going to be, unfortunately, you may be right on that one. You
uh,
hear that, and his numbers in the rehab starts were pretty average, right? And not facing major leaguers. Senga,
yeah,
on the other hand, I think threw better in his rehabs, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah. I mean,
So
I want to know what are the Mets afraid of right now with bringing up some of these AAA guys to start? I mean, what are we waiting for? I mean, what I see that they're doing is they're bringing us these mediocre guys to throw a couple of innings, then send them back down, or sign these guys like this guy Zach Pop, who they signed to a major league contract, and then he pitched against the Yankees really badly and just released him today. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Just just bring up a AAA starter. They have some real. This kid McLean. They have Sprout.
you're right.
They, I mean, they have this guy Joan.
Right,
These
he's
guys.
on the double A, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these guys. Give them a. I would give them a shot unless they don't really think that they're ready. But I don't know. It's just a mishmash. I mean, guys that you will never see again, ever, ever. You're never gonna see them again. They'll never be around.
Now, has any of the newbie? I think what is it? Warren? He looked pretty good. Is that who's the guy that's they've looked? A couple of them looked okay.
Yeah,
What's your
Warren came. Yeah, well, Warren looked good the first time,
okay?
and
Then
then
it
the
was
second time he got pummeled.
it's okay,
So,
but
and then he was sent down again.
really,
So
so
it's just up and down. I mean, these guys. I mean, it's just crazy. It's
so
crazy.
who's technically the rotation as okay? You're adding those two guys. So who are the other three? Obviously,
Yeah,
Holmes,
Peterson, Montas,
Peterson, and
Holmes.
Holmes. Now,
That's a good staff. That's a good staff.
John, we got to talk about Holmes. This situation with him not getting into the sixth inning,
I know.
I just, I've been, again, another thing I keep harping about, but does it help you having a starting pitcher that can only throw five or six tops every start? Okay, okay, I get it. A few times they're going to throw five or six. I get it. Every time he takes the ball. I just, the whole strategy with him would, if Manaya and Senga are healthy in the playoffs, don't you got to think about putting Holmes in the pen?
Oh, Holmes will definitely be. It'll be a
You,
four-man rotation. That's it.
no, no, definitely what? Definitely the fourth starter or in the pen? I'm saying about moving Holmes to the pen.
Four starters. No, your four starters in the playoffs would be Manaya, Peterson, Senga, and Montas, and
Okay,
then
you would
Holmes.
say, okay.
Let
Right.
Holmes be in the bullpen.
All right, right. That's what I'm saying. Right. So
Yeah,
you agree with that? That
yeah,
is
100%. He runs out of gas. I mean, you saw it last night. He pitched great for 5 innings, and in the sixth inning, he just fell apart. He looked like he was
I don't
gassed
know
by the
how they
sixth
can
inning.
keep this up. I'd rather have him in the playoffs pitch a few times and then but the thing is anyway, that's crazy. All right, so you agree that Holmes will be the odd man out. Now that's if Manaya and Senga are healthy, which could be a huge if. And even like you said, Montas. So obviously Peterson,
They
despite the
got to make
fact
a
I guess
trade.
he's yeah,
I think you're
make a
going to
trade.
see a trade for a starting pitcher. I
Okay.
think you're going to see a trade, and I think you're going to see a trade. Listen, if Rayleigh could come back, I mean, they say he's almost ready to come back. That
Right.
would be a great addition to the bullpen because we really don't have a good lefty at all. I mean, like I said, every lefty we've had, we've either released or another team has picked up. Uh,
So who they have? Like Castillo? Is he still around? Is he the lefty?
he's gone. No,
Is he
he's
gone
gone.
too? So
He's gone.
who's the lefty then? Who's
I
the
don't know
first
who.
lefty?
I forgot. I'm losing track of
Oh,
all
is it
these.
that guy What's his Love Lady?
Yeah, love lady.
That is John.
That's our
Yeah, he
lefty.
yeah, he's been pitching. He's been pitching. Yeah, no, it is a house of horrors trying to get to Diaz. Stanek is trying his best. But they've got some other
They have
issues, John, on let's face it, center field
center
and
field and
catcher.
catching.
And
Yep, yep,
catcher, they got to bring Alvarez back up, John. I mean, he's a minor leaguer. That's crazy.
yep,
And
yep.
Torrens I mean, he's a good backup. Torrens is a good backup.
Right.
He's not starting. Once he plays every day, right? He gets exposed. So,
Yes.
and then
Yeah, they have
you
to
know,
bring back
Taylor is
Alvarez.
just Taylor. I mean, it's just crazy. So, what do you think about? I mean, is it crazy enough? I mean, because I like McNeil at second, putting McNeil in center, and that's what they do. What do you? I mean, What do you think they're gonna make a deal there?
He hasn't played bad in center field. I mean,
Right.
they had a lineup last night that they had McNeil in center field, Beatty at second, and Mauricio at third. And Mauricio played a tremendous third base yesterday. I don't know if you saw that game yesterday.
No,
He made
I
some
heard you.
really
Yeah,
beautiful play, and he has a gun for an arm too.
yeah, they had a big
Uh,
win last night, right? Big comeback win against the
yeah,
O's, right? Who they're
yeah.
probably playing as we speak. So, who's pitching for the Mets
Uh,
tonight then? Who's the next?
Actually, it was canceled because of rain, so they have a doubleheader tomorrow.
Oh, it canceled. They
So it's going to be
so
Peterson, and they're talking about a relief pitcher game
ugh.
for game number two. Here we go.
Right. So
Who are we bringing up this time? Who are we bringing up this time?
is that a formula for winning a championship? I'm a little. You gotta. So okay. So you still at seven? Is it? Or have you increased your worry meter for in the last couple weeks?
I'm reducing it down to a 5 only because we're getting Manaya and Senga back.
Okay.
So I
All right.
reduced it to a 5.
Okay.
But
The Book
uh,
meter, we'll have it. Yeah, we have to put like a little meter on the screen or something, and then you can update it.
speaking about Tommy John surgery, so we
Oh,
got
who
some
else?
new names.
Here we
We
go.
got some new names. Clark Schmidt from the
Yeah, the
New York
Yankees.
Yankees.
Yeah,
Tommy John surgery. Trevor Williams. Remember Trevor Williams?
yeah, yeah.
Tommy John surgery. Washington Nationals. Spencer Schwellenbach. He fractured his elbow for the Braves are just listen. It would be miraculous if the Braves got out of this hole. I mean, you talk about major injuries to their staff. The Marlins are actually ahead of the Braves in the standings.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right
Uh,
now.
as we speak tonight, the Mets are tied with the Phillies for first place because the Phillies have been playing like garbage. And the Marlins are actually 10 games behind, and the Braves are 13 games behind. So, speaking of the Nationals, they fired their manager and general manager,
Yep.
uh, Dave Martinez and Mike Rizzo, right before the draft, the Major League College draft. So I don't know why they're doing it. Miguel Cairo is actually their interim manager. And if you look at the Nationals, they actually do have a lot of talent on that team. I mean, that's one team that I would say can be a contender in maybe the next 2 years. I mean, they have some really good players on that team. I just don't know why they're not winning. I mean, they have very good pitching. They did tremendous with the Soto trade. I mean, they got Abrams and Gore out of that trade and some other prospects. So we'll see what happens with them. But what really stuck in my craw is seeing that all-star list and a potential MVP candidate, Pete Crow Armstrong, is a name I've repeated many, many times
You
on
talked
this
about him
show.
last year. I know, John. You've been
It's
harping on
making me
this one.
sick. He has 70 RBIs, 23 home runs. Gold Glove contender. This is why they drafted him. This was their future center fielder, and they gave him away. And ironically, who makes it as an outfielder for the American League is Javi Baez makes it, and it was by fan vote. What are they thinking about in Detroit? I mean, he's doing okay, but he's not an all-star for this team. I mean, it's crazy. I'm going to give you a couple of names. By the way,
Yes.
Soto
Yes.
did not make the team, and
Yes.
what very telling to me is the reserves are picked by the players, the managers, and believe it or not, the commissioner's office. I didn't know the commissioner's office had anything to do with the reserves being picked. Soto was nowhere near making it to the All-Star team amongst his peers.
Hmm.
So I don't know,
Well, I mean,
maybe some jealousy there. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, he's picked it up lately, obviously, but his numbers with runners in scoring position, is still terrible, right? So he's definitely obviously hit a lot better. John, who cares about the All Star game? Maybe it'll be
No, it
better. You can go on
means
vacation
nothing.
for a few days. When is it, by
Uh,
the way? Is it after this weekend? Because is it
It's
is
July 15th. Yes, after this weekend.
okay after this weekend? All right, so
Yes.
we'll get a
And
little
then
break.
two other things,
Yes.
three other things. Clayton Kershaw actually struck out his 3,000th hitter, fourth left-hander in history to ever do it, 20th player to ever do it. I mean, if you look at his stats, I mean, it's amazing to me how great his stats are, being that he's been injured so much in his career. So his overall record is 216 wins, 94 losses, with a 2.51 ERA. I mean, that is amazing. I mean, for a guy who's been really, really injured the past couple of years, 10-time All-Star, 3-time Cy Young Award winner. I mean, that's
But
kudos to
but
him.
but not the best in the postseason.
Now,
Similar to I mean, we got to mention them a little more. You already mentioned they stink, but Aaron Judge is always now, let's face it, going to be judged by his postseason appearances. But a kind of crazy thing has happened in the American League, John, that teams that were not playing that well a few weeks ago are now, as I look, the Astros are 18 over 500. The
yeah,
Blue Jays are 15 over 500, two up on the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees technically still comfortably in with the expanded playoff. But as you mentioned, I mean, you said they stink, but you're not a Yankee fan,
no, but
obviously.
they're
But
pitching. It's their pitching. They have horrible pitching.
well, I think another thing that was killing them too is their defense, and I guess they have now moved Jazz Chisholm back to his normal position at second. Well, I mean, at third base against the Mets, right? I mean, he couldn't even throw the ball across the diamond.
No,
It
he could
was
not.
like, what are you kidding me?
Yet
This is the major
they're going
leagues.
to put, and I'm sure that they're going to try to make a trade for a third baseman, which they should have done in the preseason. They just released DJ LeMahieu today.
Oh, they
He's
did.
been,
Okay.
Yeah, they really, with $22 million left on his contract, they
He
released
was
him.
unhappy, right? He was unhappy when they made that
Well,
move.
they had no place to play because he obviously he
No,
couldn't move around at third base at all. So I think they
no.
put this kid Peraza for
Yeah,
the
Peraza's been
Yankees.
playing.
So you know, the Yankees are a mess. I mean, when I saw their lineup, I'm like, this is not a very good lineup. If you look at it, I mean, besides Chisholm and Judge, uh, a lot of easy outs in that lineup, and
And
their
also,
pitching.
yeah, I was going to say Volpe's been struggling mightily, right? He's
Oh
got
yeah,
like he's really struggling, and it's going
yeah,
to his
no,
defense, and the Yankee fans are all over him. So you're right. There's definitely a big concern. If we had a Yankee fan on, we could put them on the Bouk meter and see what they think. But you definitely have to be concerned. We saw them up and close, and like you said, the Mets lost the third game against Max Fried, again, who only Boone couldn't wait to get him out of the game. He didn't even
yeah.
make it into the sixth inning. So
Well,
yeah, no, it's a lot of games left, John, but definitely got to be concerned with the Yankees, no doubt.
the Yankees need starting pitching definitely. I mean, they have decent relief. But their starting pitching is just a shambles. I mean, outside of Freed and occasionally Rodon, I mean, what do you have? Marcus Stroman? I mean, you just lost Clark Schmidt.
Yeah,
You
as a
don't have
pitcher.
Yield there. You don't have Cole there. What do the Yankees have left here? I mean, they need to either bring up some pitchers from the minor leagues or they need to make some major trades here. I mean, uh, it's just with the Yankees, it's the same thing every year. I've been saying starting pitching, start. What is it that they don't get? They need to have solid pitching, otherwise they will never win a World Series. And I was saying that to all the Yankee fans. There were a lot of Yankee fans at this game, and they're as usual. They're very cocky and vocal. And I said, I'm glad you're happy that at least you proved today that you could hit AAA pitching. I said, how about Major League pitching? So, and one thing Lieutenant Dan will tell you is that I did call the Judge home run, and I almost called the second Judge home run. He missed by a foot. But I was telling him, he was looking at his phone, and I said, Dan, I said, you got to look up because Judge is going to absolutely crush this guy right now, this next pitch. And boom, he hit it right out. And then
Well,
the second
Did
time,
Dan tell you what I texted you, or did you see what I texted you guys? I was like, how did they not walk him there? I was like, that was so
yeah,
obvious, a walking
yeah,
situation. I don't know what Mendoza was thinking about.
I
But
saw that.
one thing, and the guy that we have not mentioned, incredibly, and the guy, I'm sorry, we talked about this too in the off season. The Yankees could have signed Pete Alonso, John.
Yes,
They
yes,
could have signed Pete Alonso. We're so
yeah.
lucky that Brian Cashman. I don't know how this guy still has his job. It's incredible that they could have easily signed him, and he would be at first base. They signed decrepit Paul Goldschmidt, who's now, I guess, broken down recently.
Yes, he
Obviously a
has.
great hitter, but I just still can't believe it, John. I mean, Pete with the huge home run right last night. Again,
Yes.
clutch. He's now becoming clutch. I mean, John, talk about cashing in. He's opting out.
Oh,
I mean,
oh,
this is
please.
like beyond I mean, back up the Brinks truck this time. And then you just look at the rest of the league. Why? I just don't understand it. I
It
mean,
was the
I
draft
just
choice.
don't understand it.
No one wanted to give up the draft choice.
The
Now,
Yankees,
this year,
anyway.
it's a totally different story because when you go into the second time around in free agency, then there's no draft pick attached now.
Okay, I
So
didn't know
he's
that. There
open
you
to
go.
everyone. So it's going to be a lot more competition this year for him.
I just feel these teams, John, with the draft picks. It's baseball draft. I mean, I don't know. It's a little much, I think. But I mean, you're right. I mean, that's the league doesn't want to sign guys and they don't want to give up that pick. But at the same time, I mean, the guy. I mean, Pete's got to be in the MVP discussion, right? I mean, I don't think there's any
Yeah,
question.
yeah, oh yeah, he's doing tremendous. Um,
Anyway, what else you got?
two last things.
Yes,
So,
sir.
two players passed away while we were off the air. If you remember, Bobby Jenks from the White Sox passed
Right.
away,
What
44
happened?
years old.
Yeah,
He
he
was
was young.
battling cancer. He was battling cancer
Oh, that's sad. I didn't know that.
for the
Okay.
past couple of years. And then Dave Parker
Yes.
has been battling Parkinson's.
Yep.
It's a shame that he wasn't able to make it to this because he just was voted into the Hall of Fame, and it's July 27th, just a couple of weeks away, and unfortunately
He didn't make it.
couldn't
Yep.
through. I'm going to share a picture with you. I'm going to wrap it up with this. So, a player that uh, I'm going to say it was about 16 years ago, 17 years ago, visited Steiner Sports in Roosevelt Field, which is a mall near my home here. And I have a picture that I'm going to share with the audience with my son when he was at the time 10 years old. Hall of Famer Billy Wagner,
There you go. He's a Hall
who
of
will be
Famer.
inducted on July 27th. I dug up this picture from when we met him and John Maine. John Maine was actually there, but we actually, you have to, for each player that you want to meet, you have to pay a certain fee. I said, we'll go with Billy Wagner. I don't think I need to see. John Maine was actually trying to hit on some women. No one else was visiting him, but some women were going up to him. So
I
he
think
had.
I told that story once way back on the Bouk and Zoobie show. So, hey, it's off season for football, but there's still plenty of talk about in the tri-state. As always, thank everybody out there. Please like the episodes. It drives that algorithm. So, John, who else you got to thank?
Thanks to our producer, Zach Zubulake, and to our loyal listeners and viewers. Keep the feedback coming. Thank you for the increased viewership and listenership. Also, thanks to our community partners, Ronald McDonald House, Kids in Seats, and the Jackie Robinson Foundation. See you in a couple of weeks.